After wandering into the abyss for 45 years, Voyager, one of the world's farthest away and loneliest machines, just did something that nobody anticipated. It turned back. No, not physically, but the data it sent was something that was hard to miss. A disruption, a reflection, a loop that implies it might have encountered something so foreign, so unaccounted for, that even the spacecraft's ancient systems briefly became confused, and there was neither a system flaw or an error code. A whisper came from the edge of space that corresponded to a fear scientists had buried for years. Voyager 1 its possible crossed a line that wasn't supposed to exist. In doing so, it may have confirmed that we were never truly alone in the dark. What did it detect? Is it detectable anywhere? What does it mean for Earth? And why are some NASA employees beginning to question the structure itself of space beyond the heliopause? Let's begin the descent into the unknown. In 1977, the spacecraft were launched with nothing but cosmic ambition and vintage technology. Both Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 were supposed to last for years. Rather, they became immortals. While every other machine that has ever traveled beyond Earth has been mute for a long time or shattered, the Voyagers kept moving past Jupiter, past Saturn, beyond the outer planets, and then into something never before touched interstellar space. Their memory, just 69 kilobytes. Their processor, weaker than a modern calculator. Yet, they managed to get around gravity assists like acrobats, slingshotting through the silent void of gas giants and beaming back data on moons, rings, magnetic fields, and pulsar waves. Engineers have, over time, removed the cameras, heaters, and even scientific instruments. Every shutdown was a small memorial service for a mission component. Voyager 1, nonetheless, spoke up until recently, when its voice changed. For years, scientists believed in the heliopause, a boundary where our sun's influence ends and the galaxy begins. Voyager 1 crossed it in 2012 at 120 astronomical units of distance from Earth. But when it did, something unexpected happened. The magnetic field did not alter. The number of particles rose, yes, but the direction of the field remained strangely consistent. That shouldn't have taken place. Voyager 2, years later, experienced the same. This destroyed every model we had. And while NASA attempted to align the data, something darker began to emerge. According to the readings, the interstellar medium wasn't behaving as expected. It was dense where it should have been sparse. It was calm where it should have been turbulent. And worst of all, strange magnetic patterns appeared structured, as if shaped by something not random, something intentional. Then, in early 2024, Voyager 1 sent a transmission that shook the network in deep space. It wasn't noise. It had patterns but no structure. The data stream included corrupted telemetry, repeated codes, and inexplicable resets. NASA believed, for weeks, the spacecraft had suffered a memory failure. Yet, when backup systems were activated, the same transmission continued, even from subsystems never programmed to send that kind of data. Engineers referred to it as a loop of reflection, a signal that comes back from Voyager, noticing an alteration in the void it couldn't have generated on its own. One veteran analyst, off the record, described it as like shouting into a canyon that ought not to exist and hearing your voice warped by someone else's breath. Some feared a breakdown inside. Others began considering a disturbing alternative. Voyager had entered a region of space where its signals were bending or being answered. Scientists dove into the corrupted signals, comparing them to cosmic ray patterns, plasma wave surges, and solar wind decay. What they discovered was chilling. The interference aligned perfectly with a sudden spike in cosmic ray particles from galactic space that should have been deflected by the heliosphere but suddenly surged as if directed. More troubling, an anomaly in the magnetic field appeared a kink or twist that shouldn't be there. It was as if Voyager 1 had passed through a barrier and what was beyond was taking action. A few suggested a pocket of dense plasma from other stars, while others whispered of non-natural shaping, theoretical concepts in the field previously reserved for novels set in the future. But the one truth that all teams agreed upon, the laws we thought governed space don't hold past the heliopause. Once known, Voyager's transmissions had become baffling, maybe intelligent, not but deliberate, possibly. And in that possibility lies the source of the fear. Because if this wasn't just space, what else is out there? After decoding for weeks, in the end, NASA released a heavily redacted statement about the anomaly on Voyager 1. They verified some signal restoration but refused to elaborate on the repeated data loops or the origin of the tampered-with telemetry. Behind closed doors, however, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory had already met with a classified task force pulling in experts from AI signal processing, quantum field theory, and astrophysics. The information came from a leak. The transmission contained non-random patterns of oscillation at various frequencies over and above what Voyager 1 ought to be able to emit. Simply put, something in deep space was either skewed, signaling, or riding on it. Even more troubling was the timing. The distortions began just after Voyager passed through a sudden drop in cosmic radiation, something that should have no bearing on the spacecraft's internal software. But what if something external had acted as a temporary shield or, worse, analyzed it? With the signal mystery unresolved, theoretical physicists began to dig into the trajectory of Voyager and its surrounding data. They discovered something deeply unsettling. The path taken by the spacecraft showed minuscule but recurring deviations impossible to attribute to gravitational pull from known planets and stars. Some postulated dark matter interactions, others suggested gravitational lensing by an unidentified object. Only one model, buried in a private research paper, proposed something far stranger, the existence of a distortion in space and time, not a wormhole or a black hole, but something brand new, like a flaw in the structure of the universe itself. A place where information loops, matter responds differently, and time behaves erratically. If true, it would mean Voyager 1 hadn't just traveled far. It had crossed into a different regime of reality, a cosmic region where our laws of motion, light, and energy begin to break down, and maybe where something else operates under a completely different set of rules. What further enhanced this discovery? The first thing that happened to Voyager 2. Thousands of miles apart, both spacecraft began displaying synchronized deviations, minor adjustments in the timing of the signal, exposure to radiation, and the direction of the magnetic field changed despite their differences in parallel positions. Statistically, it ought to be impossible. The odds of identical disturbances in unrelated regions of space bordered on impossible unless, obviously, they had something in common unless there was something massive, unnoticed by our eyes and instruments, interacting with both Voyagers simultaneously. As a result, there was renewed speculation that it wasn't merely a region the Voyagers had reached, it was a perimeter. And if there's a perimeter, there might be a center. Also, something in the middle could have just noticed the knock. A change occurred as more data were processed and started to take root not in the numbers, but in the conversations. Scientists who once dismissed the artificiality paused now. The Voyagers acknowledged that the behavior was not mechanical, it was responsive. Gradually, a disturbing consensus began to form in back-channel networks and whispered meetings. Voyager 1 may have encountered intelligence not in the cinematic sense of a spacecraft or message, but in the subtle shaping of the environment, engineering on a scale too vast to comprehend. The signal reflections, the synchronized distortions, the anomalies in the magnetic field, they all suggested intervention or, at minimum, manipulation. What if Voyager wasn't just lurching along anymore? What if it had become part of a different experiment, one by someone who has been patiently waiting for us to reach just far enough to be noticed? For 45 years, Voyager 1 was our silent ambassador to the stars, a moving shard of human willpower wrapped in gold and binary. It carried our sounds, our best wishes, and the hope that something out there might one day listen. But we never anticipated a response not like this. Voyager has not just crossed the boundary of space. It has pierced something older, stranger, and far more deliberate than anyone imagined, a place where time changes, physics trembles, and signals reflect, a place that behaves differently from the rest of the cosmos, a spot that keeps an eye back. And when Voyager sent that distorted signal, that looping cry across the void, it wasn't a malfunction. It was an answer, the kind that doesn't need words, the kind that says, "We've seen you." Now, scientists can debate the nature of the anomaly. They can analyze the patterns, twist the models, and redact the reports, but they cannot alter the basic truth. Voyager confirmed something we weren't prepared to face. Our solar system may not be the edge at all. It could be a door, and something just opened it. If this has shaken you, if it shook your skin with the impression that the universe grew smaller and darker at the same time, let this story become static. Subscribe in this direction. We look for the signals that others fear to hear. Switch on notifications because Voyager 1 may not be done speaking yet. Publish this video with a person who still believes deep space is silent. Comment below, do you believe Voyager found something, or that something found Voyager?